This is your Vigilant Liberty radio news from Independent Journal Review for Wednesday, February 11th. President Obama is submitting a proposal to Congress that would permit him to wage war against the terrorist group ISIS. This comes on the heels of the news that U.S. aid worker Kayla Mueller had died while being held by that organization. Obama contends that the White House already has the authority to launch airstrikes. On this new proposal, he states, "The authorization I propose would provide the flexibility to conduct ground combat operations in other more limited circumstances, such as rescue operations involving U.S. or coalition personnel, or the use of special operations forces to make military action against ISIL leadership. It would also authorize the use of U.S. forces in situations where ground combat operations are not expected or intended, such as intelligence collection and sharing, missions to enable kinetic strikes, or the provision of operational planning and other forms of advice and assistance to partner forces." Republican Senator Bob Corker from Tennessee has voiced support for the president and promised rigorous hearings in Congress. Quote, "It is my hope that we will fulfill our constitutional responsibility and in a bipartisan way pass an authorization that allows us to confront this serious threat." Secretary of Defense Chuck Hagel also released a statement indicating his agreement with Obama's proposal and stating the importance of bipartisan support for the proposal. If accepted, this proposal would sundown in 3 years. A Reddit user may have offered the U.S. military a solution for the increasing number of rape cases being reported within their ranks. 6,000 sexual assault cases were reported in 2014, an increase from 5,500, while officials say that only 1 in 4 cases are reported. Reddit user Throwaway Paratrooper posted a photo of a sex consent card as a potential solution to the problem. The card states, quote, "I am having voluntary sex. I am not drunk or high. I am over 18. I am STD free," and has blanks for a date and signatures of the couple. Additionally, it states, "Men, keep this in your wallet with a condom. With this card, do not accept an Article 15. Only give this card to your lawyer. Do not confess to the MPs or your boss. Demand a lawyer." The posting has received many comments, which indicates that at least there is the possibility of having a meaningful discussion about ways to prevent sexual assaults in the military. NBC nightly news anchor Brian Williams has officially been suspended for 6 months without pay. This is the result of the discovery that Williams had lied about his experience in Iraq in 2003. Crew members of the Chinook that Williams talked about but hadn't actually been aboard expressed their disappointment in his actions. Quote, "It was something personal for us that was kind of life-changing for me. I know how lucky I was to survive it," said Lance Reynolds, who was the flight engineer. "It felt like a personal experience that someone else wanted to participate in and didn't deserve to participate in." NBC released a statement via an internal memo. Quote, "It then became clear that on other occasions Brian had done the same while telling that story in other venues," Turness wrote. "This was wrong and completely inappropriate for someone in Brian's position. As managing editor and anchor of nightly news, Brian has a responsibility to be truthful and to uphold the high standards of the news division at all times. Lester Holt will anchor nightly news in Williams' absence." I'm Liz Harrison, and this has been your Vigilant Liberty radio news from Independent Journal Review for Wednesday, February 11th.
DLR.
This show is produced by IJReview.com.
This show is copyright by VLR Media. All opinions of panelists and guests are their own and may not reflect the opinion of VLR Media, the host, or anyone else.
Let's be clear. Now let's be clear. Now let's be clear. There are no winners here. Now let's be clear. Now let's be clear. Now let's be clear. There are no winners here.
Two minds are better than one. Time for the Right Mics with Mike Miller and Michael Hausum.
Well, hi, folks. Welcome to the show. This is The Right Mics with Mike Miller and Michael Hausum. Thank you so much for listening. If you would like to call in this segment, please do. The number is 412-567-6879. A little bit later, we will have Twitter conservative rock star Super Mexican on with us, which means that number one, it'll be incredibly entertaining. Y número dos, todos el programa en español.
Right.
That was pretty good, Hausum. You did a good job.
What did you? How did that sound, Jess? That mi español es bueno, ¿no?
Pretty good. I will say that's pretty good.
Porque mi vocabulario es muy poquito.
Eso está bien. You're doing all right. You're doing good.
Okay, thank you.
I can understand you. That's all that matters.
So, Miller, last night I saw American Sniper for the third time.
Let me ask you this, because I'm going to say it again. I've seen it once. Each time, well, particularly the third time, I mean, anything you saw or thought that you did not see or think previously?
Yeah, there were a couple of things. You know, it's funny is that the first time I saw it, I saw a Hollywood Oscar screener at a buddy's house that had the sound turned down.
Right, I remember.
And then the second time I saw it at a theater with my kiddo, with my high school kid, and it was in a jam-packed theater. And then last night I saw it at kind of a boutique theater here in Corona del Mar, and the sound was just absolutely outrageous. And we were sitting in these leather reclining chairs with our feet up. They had brought us, it's these kind of theaters where they, deliver food and beverage service to your
there's one in Indy, but yeah. So it's different venue. That's cool, man.
Yeah, so it was kind of like sitting in a living room with a massive big screen and a massive sound system. So I felt like, especially the battle scenes, I felt like I was in the middle of them. And so from that standpoint, it was like I was in the middle of those scenes, and the absolute terror and horror of bullets flying and the way it was odd. Unlike the other theater, the surround sound was particularly effective. And so, I mean, the sounds, the way the sound was mixed, so it was very experiential for those parts. So that part I did notice. Also, there was a hint the second time I saw it, and it was much more so last night, being mixed in response to his wife's complaints before he went back to his fourth tour. She said, there's that scene in the bed where she's like, you need to be here with your family.
Right.
He's like, look, I need to go back there and do that. And she says, well, you need to know that if you go, when you come back, we may not be here.
Exactly.
And obviously that's a significant conflict. It's a very real human conflict. But that interaction bothered me, as a father of 5 kids, the idea of taking off and literally being, literally he's willing to lay down his life for the sake of his brothers. And the movie makes it very clear. There's a certain extent to where he's like, hey, we're going to kill these people here. It's not just some random patch of dirt because we don't want them coming to San Diego or wherever. But also, there's a sense to where a lot of what those guys do is for the guy that's next to him. You know?
Right, and I got that, but you also, because this film, unlike Lone Survivor, Marcus Luttrell, this is a very humanistic film, as you and I've talked before, and as have others. This is about a family. This is about a relationship, and there happens to be a war involved, but and you can never do it, but to try to get into his mind, I mean, obviously, yes, committed to the guy next to him, committed to killing them before they come here, committed to that whole bit, and I get that, and obviously can never understand it as he did. But then you have your wife, kid, and I didn't want to say this because this guy's a hero in my mind. But was there almost an obsession with it? Was there almost an addiction to it? Having said everything we just said, that he couldn't, double negative on purpose, he couldn't not go back. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes, absolutely. And she points out, she said, look, you've given so much, you don't have to go back.
Right.
And that's kind of what he was dealing with the counselor. I need to go save those guys. And the counselor says, well, there are plenty of guys down the hall here that you can save as well.
And that was a turning point in the movie for sure. But, it's almost, the stuff in the book, the savages, and he liked killing Iraqis, or, the first one is a quote. I'm not sure that maybe I'm parsing words. But it's almost like, hey, listen, and let's be frank. I mean, whether he went back or not, the war was going to turn out the way the war turned out. But again, back to the obsession part, was he so into it? It was almost like a drug to him. He had to go back.
Yeah, and I think, it's interesting for any kind of guy that's driven. That is it. If there are things in their life that they're passionate about, and that may be, and this is definitely not politically correct, that may be a difference between men and women. So he is comfortable or maybe he wasn't even comfortable, but he was living with, on one hand, he's got his wife and his 2 kids and the pole there, living at the same time with, there's this stuff going on, and he knew that he could contribute, and in his mind, he was owning the fact that there are guys that are under fire, and he could be there with his brothers helping them. And there was that tension for him. And obviously he made a decision. And he lived with that tension right up until the point, on that rooftop scene where he realized, you know what, I can't do this anymore.
Right. And again, I mean, we understand passion as it relates to anything, building a business, doing whatever. And obviously that was there. But again, this may be, and I don't even know, it's a fine line between passion and obsession, or almost addiction. We'll never know, because no one will ever really know what was going on in his mind. I don't think his wife did.
Yeah, and I think that was the point excellently made in the movie. And
Right.
I think the way you say that as an obsession, and it was one thing I did notice, that at the beginning, his first kill is that kid and then the mom with
Right.
the grenade.
Right.
And they show that in 3 separate pieces, and it's not until the 3rd piece that you see him take that kid out. The second one, where the guy with the bazooka, he kills him, and then the kid wanders up. Picks it up, and you can see, and he's saying it. He's like, put it down, damn it. Don't pick it up, put it down. And then when the kid does drop it, and you see him just like kind of collapse on the stock of his rifle.
He emotionally just collapses.
That to me was a significant turning point for him. It took the rooftop scene for him to call his wife and say, hey babe, I'm coming home.
I'm ready to come home, baby.
But I think that second scene with the kid, and that may just be a matter of, I don't recall